Welcome back, everybody. Day 10 of COVID for me, and now I finally I'm not coughing as much, and I can actually talk to more people that I really wanted to have. Today, I know you've recognized him. I know he's without his beard, but you recognized Langley Kirkwood, somebody who plays Mr. Buckley on Warrior, one of my favorite shows. Everybody knows that. Please welcome Langley.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me, Alan.
It's my pleasure. And let's start off with this. I was talking to Joanna on Friday, and she afterwards, you were kind enough to say that you're coming on. So the first thing that Joe asked me to ask you is, as Buckley, please apologize for what you did to the poor Penny in episode 10 of season 2. So we'll start with that. That's her request.
Okay. Sorry, Joanna.
Okay, good.
Yeah, there we go. I'll apologize on behalf of Mr. Buckley. It was a terrible thing for him to do. God, he has his moments, doesn't he?
He does. What what an interesting and complex character. Definitely one of the puppet masters, and a person that we see actually a lot of kindness from, and then we see a lot of political cunning and things that we kind of are really upset with him for. So by the way,
a lot of kindness. I wouldn't go so far as to say you see a lot of kindness from him.
We see pockets of kindness. We see pockets of kindness. I think when he's washing the redhead's hair,
Yes.
we see that, and we start thinking of him as a man with feelings. When he's touching the stump, we see the pain there. So we kind of get another dimension to the character, and it's not just somebody that you hate, but somebody that you understand. And then the hair definitely was intriguing to see. Okay, what is that about? And I heard you were talking to Liv about it. I don't know if everybody who's watching my program has watched that Instagram live. So why don't we talk about it? Because Buckley is shown that he likes redheaded prostitutes, but we don't see him having any sexual acts. We see him washing their hair. Can you explain to people why that is?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the audience were probably quite surprised that I didn't murder the poor girl for a start.
Yeah.
And I think the writers, they felt it was important for people to see a different side to Buckley, and for people, just to have an idea of where these weird idiosyncrasies that he has, where they came from. And the idea basically about the whole concept of the hair and the bathing of the redheaded prostitutes comes from the flashback scene that we see in the beginning of episode 8, where he's in the Civil War field hospital, and this kind of, I suppose, representative of some kind of angelic figure in the form of this red-headed nurse who calms him and soothes him and kind of gets him through this traumatic ordeal that he's got to get through. So the fact that she's got the red hair is the one thing that obviously sticks with him through that. But then obviously, just as the surgeon is cutting through his leg, and there's that splatter of blood into her hair, which was, it was a very specific part of the script that had to happen in that very particular way. That is the takeaway that he has with him from that ordeal, is that hair. And I guess it is, it was that idea of him, like Lady Macbeth, just wanting to, the out damn spot. He's wanting to just wash the blood out of the hair. So that's why he bathes them.
Yeah, it was so interesting because I don't know again how many people recognized what was truly happening. We just saw, redheads and bathing. We're like, okay, where is
Yeah.
this going? And then, watching you and Liv discuss it,
Yeah.
finally kind of made perfect sense. It was one of my questions. So Liv, if you're watching this, thank you so much for asking it. But it was one of my questions to find out the detail, and it's just
Yeah.
again the incredible writing of making that particular thing happen, which made Buckley a lot more interesting and a
Yeah.
three-dimensional character, as opposed to kind of the man who used to be in the shadows now is out in the public eye, and he's doing all these terrible things to people. So he was
Yeah.
very, very interesting.
Yeah. I think it was important for the writers to,
Yeah.
for the audience to be able to see a real kind of human side to him,
Yeah.
um, softer side to Buckley. And that's what's so great about the characters that Jonathan Tropper creates, is that they're always so beautifully rounded.
Absolutely. This is again, I love Billions. It's another one of my favorite shows, and just like in Billions, same thing with Warrior. Nobody is a good guy and a bad guy.
Yeah.
Everybody is a complex character, and you're rooting for all of them, and that's
That's it.
why all of the fight scenes are so hard to watch. And I'm talking about the main fight scenes. Leary versus Assam, or
Yeah.
at the end of season one, Assam versus Joe Taslin's character. Like it's hard because you're
Yeah.
rooting for both, and you just don't want anyone to get seriously hurt. That's basically
Yeah.
how I watch it. So now I find kind of from the life perspective, because you're very athletic. I don't know if people know that you're an Ironman athlete. And
Yeah.
I think you placed ninth, one year in the sport in
Yeah.
South Africa. So having to play Buckley, who is cut off at one leg, you always
Yeah.
have to limp, and then you're around all of these guys who are training every day to try to do
Yeah.
something athletic. What was
Yeah.
that like, just from a personal perspective, saying, this
Yeah.
is, this sucks. I want to play too. I can do stuff.
Yeah. There were, I suppose there were both elements to it. And initially it was weird being one of the few characters on what is predominantly, it's a drama series, but it's an action drama series.
Yeah,
And almost everyone on the show, except me, gets to fuck someone up at some stage.
I know.
And and gets to be physical. I suppose the one part of that, where I suppose I was able to vent the frustration of not being involved physically in the way that the others were, is that there is a serious physical challenge to playing someone who is physically handicapped.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to get that right. And I mean, you talk about being an Ironman athlete. I've been passed on the bike before during an Ironman by a physically handicapped person with one limb, with
Wow.
one leg,
Okay.
who was powering past me on the bike. So, I understand, just how mentally strong a lot of physically handicapped people have to be,
Yeah.
just to go about their day-to-day tasks of doing the things that we all take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose out of respect for handicapped people, I felt that it was important to get that physical part of the performance right.
Mm-hmm.
And production were really helpful with that. They were able to build me constrictive casts so that I wasn't able to move my limbs properly.
Yeah.
Or my limb properly. So there were devices like a carbon fiber ankle brace,
Mm-hmm.
which basically prevented any kind of ankle movement, which really helped with the limp. And then also had, kind of splint put on around the knee as well, so that it would emulate the prosthetic limb that Buckley walks around with.
Yeah. And thank you for
Yes, it was frustrating not being able to get into the dojo with the other guys and do all that fun stuff.
Again, thank you for mentioning that, because that was one of my questions of what did you do? You know, some actors are going to, how do they remind themselves that they have to limp? So, you know, this was a helpful thing that the production did for you. But you know, knowing just the body mechanics, right? And we're always told, even if something hurts, to walk straight, because it's going to be putting pressure on your back, on your hips, on your knees, on the whole kind of dynamic of the body. So as you were doing this for 2 seasons, did you find anything kind of getting misaligned? Did you have to you know, make sure that you're doing exercises and keep your body proper when you were not shooting? Any issues you ran into?
Yeah, I think because I exercise quite a lot on a daily basis, I'm aware of when things are out. And I think, you know, as long as you're stretching properly afterwards, like with anything, I tend to be able to feel if something is out. If something is out, I usually go to a chiropractor or a sports physiotherapist who does chiropractic adjustments.
Did they have anybody on set? I know they had a lot of, you know, physio people.
Yeah, no, I was, you know, it was never. I think if my work days, if my work weeks had been heavier than they were, the scheduling, they were always really good to me in terms of the scheduling. I didn't have, you know, some of the actors had crazy weeks. I never had crazy weeks. They were able to always kind of, my weeks were, I was just, I guess, really lucky. I mean, I'm amazed that Andrew Koji was able to get through some of those weeks where we were shooting, you know, we were doing something called double banking, where we were basically, I don't know if the other actors have spoken about it at all, but it was, so it was crazy, where you're shooting kind of multiple episodes with different units on the same day and being kind of rushed from one unit to the other. And I don't know how, you know, Koji got through all that, but he did. He was like a superhuman. It was amazing.
Yeah, and I'm happy that, you know, for his sake, I'm happy that happened at the end of season 2, because he had time to kind of work up to it. And you know, we can all see the shape of the people change from season 1 to season 2. Everybody got a lot, you know, fitter by the end of season 2. But that's it's huge kudos to the guys who were doing double banking. I think at the end, you know, four episodes were basically shot at the same time or so. So you know, the guys, you had 3 or 4 lots at the same time going on. It was ridiculous in terms of the amount of work you guys had to do. And you're from I think you're the only, I don't know if you're the only one in the cast, but you're the only one that I know of that is from South Africa, that is in Johannesburg.
So the only regular in the cast, because obviously we shoot here, so a lot of the actors on the show, a lot of the guest stars are South African. A lot of the recurring characters in the show, you've got you know, the Chinatown Squad guys. You've got Rob Hobbs, and you've got Nick Pauling. And then you've got Kenneth Fock, who plays Jacob. You know, I'm in Cape Town, and Nick Pauling is based in Cape Town. Rob Hobbs and Kenneth Fock are based in Johannesburg, so they, you know, they would fly down when they needed to work. But yeah, I mean, it's there are a lot of the show's it's been good for, in terms of the industry here, in terms of actors being able to showcase themselves on an international stage, which has been good. And
I kind of dives into another question that I had for you, which is how did this opportunity come about for you? I know you were on Banshee, so is it through those connections with JT that this one arose as well?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it was So, I mean, what had actually happened in terms of where I was, I kind of, wanting to, on the back of Banshee, obviously I shot Banshee in the States, and that was in 2014. And we shot that season, the first 3 seasons they shot in North Carolina, in Charlotte, or in and around Charlotte. And then they moved to Pennsylvania for the final season, by which time I was already dead.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But that had kind of that opportunity there had created, relationships and opportunities for me to stay in the States and work in the States for a while, which I did. And then in 2017, beginning of 2017, I moved back to South Africa. My kids had basically said, right, we've had enough. Get your ass home. Okay. And so I did come back. And I was busy shooting a feature film at the time, which we shot over a period of 4 years. It was a film called Mia and the White Lion, and it was about a relationship between a young girl and a lion. Shot with the backdrop of the canned lion hunting industry, which is a big industry that we have in South Africa, which is, I mean, it's legalized shooting of it's like shooting fish in a barrel, but it's lions, and lions get hunted in wire enclosures, and people come here from all over the world and pay $50,000 to shoot a lion. And it's a barbaric practice, and the film was basically to raise a global awareness about it and try and put pressure on the South African government to illegalize it. But I've gone off on a complete tangent here. But what I was getting to was that I was about to start work on one of those blocks, and I knew that JT, who obviously I knew from Banshee, I knew that he was coming to Cape Town to shoot a pilot. And I was about to go up and shoot another block on my lion film, and we weren't going to be in town at the same time. And I dropped him an email because my dates changed on my lion film, and I knew that there were going to be a couple of days where we overlapped when we were in town at the same time. And I just said, hey man, I'm probably going to be in town at the same time as you are. It'd be great if we could get together for dinner. And he immediately emailed me back and said, can I call you? And I said, sure. And he did. And he said, listen, I had written this part in my pilot with you in mind. And I checked with your reps and you were unavailable because of this lion film that you're doing. But if your dates have changed, it would be crazy for you not to be able to do this just, because of a few days here or there. So I'm going to send you a script and some sides, and maybe you can just, put yourself on tape over the weekend, and if you're interested, and send it back to me. And that's exactly what I did. I taped that weekend, I sent it off, and I got an offer on the Monday. Wow. And they were able to make the dates work. I think I had like 5 days in town while they were shooting the pilot, and they shot me out in those first 5 days, and I was able to go and finish my movie. And then, the new year rolled around, and we went into production for the rest of season 1.
That's wonderful.
So yeah, it was kind of, it was a lovely moment for me. I mean, so many relationships, kind of great working relationships do end up lasting you throughout your life. And you if you like working with people, you tend to want to work with them again and again. Yeah. But it was also a nice affirmation for me to coming home and almost deferring my Hollywood dream, if you will, and coming home to be with my family, and immediately being given this kind of gift, which was like a pat on the back by the universe to go, well done. Well done, buddy. You made the right decision, and here you go. We're going to throw you a bone.
No, that's wonderful. Absolutely. There's a lot of universal messages there, and going back to the movie that you referenced, the Lion movie.
Yeah.
watching your demo reel. That's where I saw it, and I
Yeah.
paid attention because you're in the scene with one of my favorite actresses, Melanie Laurent, uh,
Yeah.
who's wonderful. I love,
She,
love her work. So
she's so funny. She's one of the funniest human beings I've ever met in my life. She's
that's,
she's
oh,
she's deeply funny. And yeah, I was lucky enough to play her husband for 4 years. So that was pretty cool.
yeah, I think so. And then again, going back to Warrior. Um, by the way, you've mentioned chiropractor. That's one of the things, like that and haircut. Those are the things that I've missed during my COVID isolation, is that I cannot go and get an adjustment, which I definitely need, because
Right.
during COVID you're told, hey, you need to be active. You need for your lungs
Yeah.
to work. So I've been on my treadmill, walking and getting my 10,000 steps, and
Yeah.
I know my body needs an adjustment. And it's like, day 10. So I think starting tomorrow or, Friday, I can actually go and get adjusted, and I can go and
I
get
do.
a haircut and start looking like a normal person again. So
Counting the hours, I'm sure.
yeah, my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
Um,
Are you
so
stretching? Are you getting
uh,
enough stretching in? Because I find that really helps with the back, man. That's if I don't stretch,
mhm.
especially I find with my glutes, stretching my glutes and my hips. If I don't do the glutes and the hips, my lower back goes. It's kind of like clockwork.
I'm not. So thank you for the reminder. I'm not. I did used to do kind of a quick yoga, few yoga exercises every morning, but
Yeah.
I stopped doing that. I don't know why. So
Right.
once we're done, I'm gonna go and start doing them again. But yeah, I need to stretch. I know I've had some sciatic. You and I are 2 years apart. You're just a couple of years older. We're
Yeah.
both in April, by the way. I'm April 25th.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh wow, you're a Taurus like my brother.
Yeah, you're an Aries. You're kind of the tail end of the Aries, and I'm the young Taurus. Um,
Yeah, man.
but I know in terms of the age, like I don't know when it happened, but at some point you just know that if you're not exercising, if you're not stretching, if you're not getting your body working, everything
Yeah.
starts to feel much, much worse.
Oh,
So
dude, this getting old thing, it's so shit.
it's,
It's really shit.
I
It's
know
awful.
it is.
It's yeah, we it's I guess yeah, we take so much for granted when we're younger,
Mhm.
and we think we're immortal, and then suddenly I don't know what happens, man. We kind of get to, I guess it was kind of like overnight, straight
Yeah,
after 40.
yeah,
Everything it seems to start falling apart. Your eyesight starts going, and you have to wear glasses.
yep.
You have to ask people to speak up a little more, and yeah, the back goes, and everything starts just creaking. Like we need someone to come in and give us a little grease
Yeah, yeah.
once in a while, and I guess that's what the chiropractor's for. It's like a little oil.
Yeah, and I noticed because I spend a lot of time in front of the computer. When I'm not doing the show, I'm in front of the computer because that's what pays the bills. I do IT and
Right?
HR consulting,
Yeah,
and basically, I've noticed that my body is literally kind of shutting down. If I don't wake up, get on the treadmill, get my half an hour, 40 minutes, and then do
yeah,
that again, throughout the day,
yeah,
the inactivity is just killer.
yeah,
And I learned very quickly that I have to do it, otherwise I feel 80, and
yeah.
that's just the wrong way to go. And
Nah, absolutely.
it's
Maintenance. It's just maintenance, man. You got to do it. You got to.
yeah.
It's the you got
So
to pay the rent.
right. We it has to be a part of it. It's like it's no longer a nice to have. It's a necessity. Otherwise, it just doesn't work.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
the the one nice thing about COVID, if I can say anything was
Yeah,
nice, is that I'm getting closer
yeah.
to Koji's season 1 abs, because I lost about 6 pounds during it. So
Wow.
I'm getting closer. Not season 2. I'm not there, but season 1 getting closer. So yeah, by the
Great.
time Koji comes on, I've invited him a few times. By the time he comes on, if
Yeah,
I continue on this trajectory, maybe I'm going
Yeah.
to show my abs. We'll find out. I still have another 7 pounds to go before I get to that point.
And you're in Chicago, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Which
So
and
it's what? It's freezing. It's 32 Fahrenheit right now in Chicago.
well,
So 0 Celsius. That's my temperature at the moment.
is it? I mean, is there snow on the ground outside? Is it or is it just
No,
icy?
yeah, a little frost.
Right.
Not that I was going going anywhere, but
Yeah.
it's a little frost. We had our first snow of the season. That was about 3 weeks ago or so.
Right.
But I know it's gearing up, and we're about to kind of get into the white Christmas time, which
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
It doesn't snow in South Africa, right? I don't think.
Certainly not at Christmas time. No, we obviously in the southern hemisphere, and I don't know. You could share with your audience that I was late by over an hour for this because I'd gone to the beach. And I'd fallen asleep on the beach. So apologies again. I feel awful.
No.
So unprofessional. And but yeah, I mean, we're in the middle of summer here, so it's one of those weird things. Like when my girlfriend's sister-in-law is American, and so she's getting like Christmas decorations, American style Christmas decorations, which obviously have a winter theme.
Yeah.
And it's just like we I suppose it's all different here, but we obviously people celebrate Christmas here, but it's done slightly differently.
Yeah, you're in the middle of summer.
Yeah, but we do get snow in winter. In fact, I mean, where I'm sitting right now, I'm looking out the window, and there's a mountain range that is in winter often covered with snow. So.
Nice.
So we do have snow in Africa, and
Yeah.
but just not at this time of the year.
I'm going to be showing how terrible I am with geography, but Mount Kilimanjaro, isn't that in Africa?
It is. So that's up in Tanzania,
Okay.
which is right next door Kenya, and the two biggest mountains in Africa are both volcanic mountains, and they are Kilimanjaro and Mount Kenya. And
Okay.
both of those mountains actually have snow. They're covered in snow all year round,
Yeah.
even though they're on the equator, because they're so high.
I got you.
But we are obviously quite a lot further south.
Yeah. My friend went to South Africa. He studied there. I think he was there for 3 or 4 years, and then he couldn't get the visa to stay, so he had to go back. He was really sad because he loved it.
Man.
He loved
it.
Look,
we are a complex country with our fair share of challenges.
Yeah.
And quite an interesting mix of first world and third world. But it is an amazing country, and very worth visiting. So if you ever do get the opportunity to come, I would suggest you do.
Absolutely. It's
I've never been to Chicago. I've always wanted to go to Chicago and go and get to see some theater. There's one of a very famous theater company based in Chicago.
Yeah.
Steppenwolf. It's Steppenwolf, right?
Steppenwolf Theater, yeah. We have a lot of theaters, the Goodman Theater, Steppenwolf. There's a huge improv scene again right now. The theater is shut down, but hopefully next year, as things start getting back to normal with vaccines coming, hopefully theater is going to start opening up. So the best time to come to Chicago, in my opinion, is in kind of September timeframe. It's no longer hot and humid. It's just really, really, really lovely. So hopefully
fall is good time to visit Chicago.
Yeah, fall or late spring. Those are beautiful.
And I always forget the Windy City was a referral to the wind made by the politicians rather than the weather.
It's true. We're very flat. So Chicago, there's no elevation, there are no mountains, there's nothing.
Yeah.
There is a wind tunnel effect because you have the lakefront and you have the really tall buildings. So between
Yeah.
those buildings, there is wind. But it started during the
Right.
World's Fair in 1812 when, Chicago
Right.
had the Great Chicago Fire and they needed, they rebuilt and they wanted the world to come back and see it. So they sent their politicians to Washington to lobby for it, and they were so exhaustive that there started to be this the definition of they're full of hot wind, and
Right.
Chicago became the windy city
Yeah.
because of the politicians. So
Right.
it's one of the first things that you actually get to hear about when you come to Chicago eventually. Please let
Yeah.
me know. I'll take you around the area. But
Awesome.
we'll go on the river cruise because there's the architectural tour, which is gorgeous. Chicago is so beautiful because we have really diverse architecture. And
Right.
that's one of the first things that they talk about is how Windy City the name came about. So most
Yeah.
people don't know what you knew,
Yeah.
having never visited Chicago. Good on you.
I was a big history buff at school.
Very cool. And
Yeah.
I almost ended up in South Africa. It wasn't, it wasn't that close, but
Yeah.
when we were going through the immigration, Ukraine is where was where I was born,
Yeah.
and we went to Austria in order to kind of through Austria to Italy in order to come to the United States. So that was the
Right.
part of the immigration process, as refugees going out of the former Soviet Union. And
Yeah.
when we were in Italy, there were people lobbying us to go to South Africa instead.
Wow.
So some people were saying, go to Canada. Some people were saying, go to Israel. United
Yeah.
States, obviously, and then South Africa. There were people saying, hey, you need to go to South Africa. You're going to have a far better life. This was 1989. So I remember my dad actually thinking about it and
Yeah.
saying, would it be worth for us to go to South Africa instead?
Yeah.
So there was a possibility that I would have ended up in South Africa.
Wow, man.
Yeah,
You could have
um,
been neighbors.
could have been. Yeah, it's a tiny country, right? Yeah, we could have been neighbors.
Relatively speaking, it is. I mean, it's, compared to the US, it is. We have a population of around 60 million.
Yeah, it's
So,
sizable, but yeah, I think we're at 330 or somewhere in there. Yeah,
yeah.
but you're bigger than Canada. I think Canada is less than 50 million people.
Yeah, we are obviously not geographically as big as Canada, but in terms of population, yeah, we are. And I mean, we also do have a lot of undocumented
Yeah.
immigrants, because a lot of people who are fleeing war-torn countries or just uh, kind of poverty in other parts of Africa do come down to South Africa, and
Mhm.
because I suppose in many ways it is the America of Africa, in that
Mhm.
we are the wealthiest, uh, you know, one of the wealthiest countries, and certainly have kind of, I suppose, the best working infrastructure
Mhm.
out of African countries. So a lot of people do come here uh, looking for seeking work and seeking asylum, political
Mhm.
asylum. Yeah.
Understood. By the way, I just looking a little past you, I just noticed the crystal. That's a very beautiful crystal.
Ah, that's behind me.
Yes.
That is, and yeah, what have we got there? We've got a bronze sculpture which is made by my girlfriend as well. I don't know if you can see it
Wow.
over there in between the pot plant and the crystal.
Mhm.
My girlfriend Sarah is she's an artist and a sculptor. In fact, yeah, it's worth checking out her Instagram. Her name is Sarah Heineman, and you can check out her Sarah Heineman Studio is her Instagram,
Okay.
and it's Heineman. I think is, yeah, I do know, is HEINAMANN, and you can see her bronze works in there. They're incredible. She's very, very talented.
Lovely. Yeah, I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna put it right below the video so everybody can go and check it out and follow her. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you,
Yeah.
Alan.
Going back
Woo.
to where you're, yes, yeah, you've done good. Going back to Warrior for a few more questions there. Um, the character that you're playing, and Liv was kind enough to say that you are the farthest from the character that you're playing to who you are as a person. So being that Buckley is so different, what were some of the challenging parts of playing somebody who's that different from you?
Mm. Um, well, I guess, it's always an opportunity to look at your own shadow
Yeah.
and to explore the darker parts of one's own psyche,
Mhm.
uh, and to find them, to find those parts of us within ourselves. And because they're there,
Mhm.
we're all, we all, as humans, I believe, the coding is there.
Yep.
So it's all there within us. I suppose it was about finding, I suppose the complexities of Buckley, um, and finding I suppose the big challenge was justifying,
Yeah.
finding ways in which to justify or explain, not justify, because I mean I can't, as Langley, justify his racism, and his, the way in which his, or the reason why the reason behind his political motives, um, are not something I can identify with. But looking deeper into him, into his history, into what has turned him into this kind of human being,
Mhm.
if you will, that's why it was just such a nice gift to have that kind of backstory
Yeah.
become a part of his on-screen journey. Um, but it was, that was something that Jonathan had explained would become, you know, uh, that the audience would be shared with the audience in season 2. And
Nice.
so was very generous in sharing Buckley's backstory with me before we actually shot the pilot. Um, I think that kind of trauma can do, some really destructive, weird things to people.
Yeah.
And yes, it also has turned Buckley into someone who's very strong and very resilient.
Mhm.
Um, so I suppose, that the resilience part of him was something that I could identify with and admire. Being an endurance athlete, there's I suppose there's a respect for Buckley that I recognized, in his ability to kind of stick with it no matter how hard it is
Yeah.
and how painful it could be, the process of showing up every day. And he does, man. I mean, it's, he's surmounted some really incredible challenges.
Yeah.
And to live as a political animal in the world in the way in which he does, I think it's taken a lot of courage and a lot of self-belief.
Yeah.
Um, so
Interesting.
I like that part of him, and I was able to kind of connect with him, and that was my way in terms of finding a way to love him,
Mhm.
and also, every now and then be able to just give a flicker of humanity,
Yeah.
so that the audience can, at least, if not empathize with him, can at least go, yeah, we can still see that he's not a monster.
Mhm.
There's a human being under all that.
Yeah, it's important because we never want somebody who we just love or hate. There has to be a
Yeah,
person there. It
absolutely.
I really liked when I started to kind of respect Buckley, by the way, is when Leary approached him and pulled a knife on him,
Yeah,
uh, obviously trying to scare him, and Buckley was not scared at all.
yeah,
And I really started to kind of respect him of saying, well, he's not just the guy who's protected and works in the shadows. He's a tough guy himself. Uh,
yeah.
he just, he has some physical limitations. So it was also a good moment to see.
Yeah, I mean, he's not scared of having a knife put into him.
Yeah.
He's more afraid of the physical contact because he knows that he knows the response that elicits within him. He knows why. I mean, he has this massive kind of OCD around human contact and around germs, I suppose, cleanliness, because of his trauma in the hospital.
Yep.
And that's his demon that he has to fight and learn to control and overcome in season 2 as he steps into the light.
Yeah.
And it was one of my favorite moments of when he's being sworn in as mayor. And that moment where he goes, well, okay. And he has to kind of step into that and step into that fear.
Yeah.
And move past it, move through it, and he does.
Yeah,
because his ambition is so great that it gets him through it. He knows what he has to do.
Yeah, and in 10, when Penny slaps him, it was that kind of juxtaposition of all of the emotions of, oh, okay, I have a way out. Ooh, I just got touched. It's like all of these things I saw you playing. And when, after episode 9, when they showed kind of the preview for 10 and you pulling the letter opener, we knew you were not going to stab Penny. I don't know if anybody believed that Penny was going to get stabbed. We just didn't know what was going to happen with that.
Didn't know that he was actually going to stab himself. It was reading that episode. It was one of those moments where you read it on the page and you kind of go, "Oh my God, that is so brilliant!"
Yeah, it was shocking, and it was perfect because that's what Buckley would do. He would find the right kind of thing to push, even if it means that he's going to get hurt in the process. So talking to Joanna, she was saying that scene ended up being her scene after she gets institutionalized. So and she was using all of that emotion and trauma of being tied to a bed screaming, where she walked into the room and said, "Mr. Buckley," all of that, anger she was able to utilize. And then she said, when you stabbed yourself, obviously there had to be blood. There wasn't. It was kind of a very technical thing. What ended up happening there? It just I'm assuming there is a bag of.
We had a bag. We had a bag, and we had a obviously we had a dummy for the letter opener.
Yeah.
Which did have a little edge to it.
Okay.
So obviously the blade wasn't there. It was we had the handle sticking out, and we had a little edge that was just sharp enough to pierce the bag.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we did a couple. We did angles with the full blade in.
Yep.
And would cut as I was going down.
Yep.
Obviously just before I stabbed myself. And then we did several versions with the dummy with the little blade, and trying to remember. I think we had three shirts, so I think we had three goes at it.
Okay.
And I think we got it on the second go.
That's the part that I love. Again, I'm an actor, so some of these I'm privy to, but people don't realize, like, when we're dealing with fights, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, the people are not hitting at full strength, but there is a lot that goes to it. There are a lot of inserts. There is a lot of cutting. There is all sorts of things that editing has to do in order to make it look right. So things like that. It's 3 shirts that you have to go through with different bags just to make sure that it gets properly shown.
And sometimes you're prepared to let someone slap you on the face. If it's gonna look real.
Yeah. How many times? Well, so it was 3 times with that Joanna had a chance to slap you.
I can't remember how many times she actually slapped me. My main concern was because with Buckley's beard. Some of that is my real beard, but makeup had to actually, to make it his beard that perfect, because
Mm.
I've got quite a patchy beard. They had to actually add some hair in. My main concern was that she would get me so hard in the beard on the face that some of the hair would come out of my beard. So between takes, is the beard okay? Is the beard all
Yeah,
right? Oh, good.
that's awesome.
Um,
That's really, really good. Um, any improv that you had a chance, or everything was straight to the script?
in that scene,
No, just in general.
oh, yeah. I mean, I think the majority uh, of the improv that happened mostly happened with Christian,
Hmm.
who played Mayor Blake.
Yep.
I can't remember the lines, but I think there were a couple of lines there that weren't scripted that ended up in the show. And he was just so brilliant. So he was so great and
Mhm.
so funny. His timing, I mean, you can see he's, classically trained theater actor, just because his timing was always so good.
Yeah,
Uh,
it was interesting with him. I started rewatching, once we got done with season 2, I started
yeah,
rewatching, season 1, and
yeah,
I was actually shocked when I saw Christian in the pilot, and he was different Blake. He was a much kind of a much tougher, more kind of cunning, serious Blake.
yeah,
And then he, whether it's the writing, whether it's him feeling what Blake was about, but he
yeah,
became what I remember him as. But
yeah.
season 1, the pilot, that was a
Mm.
different Blake. It was a much harder mayor.
I always enjoy watching the progression of characters
Yeah.
during, through the different seasons of shows, because you can see the actors as people growing within the role.
Yep.
I was very late to the party in terms of watching Schitt's Creek, and yeah,
Yep.
and we're almost finished season 6 at the moment, and really enjoying that, and it's been such a joy to watch the progression of the characters, but also see how the actors have grown into the roles, and that's so much part of it. It's that is one of the joys of doing a television show over a number of years, I guess, is that you get a chance to bring the parts of you that grow
Mhm.
to the character.
And that's the part that me as an actor, I haven't had a chance to experience yet, and I want to so desperately. Uh,
Right.
because doing co-stars, doing kind of these even larger indies, uh,
Yeah.
there's not that chance to really sink your teeth into a role. There's not
Yeah.
enough time or not enough takes for it, and
Yeah.
you make choices. You do what you think is going to work best, and that's it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to do TV series. I want to have a chance to really play.
Yeah, man. It is. It's. I know it. Look, I know it's a huge. It's a huge privilege, because there are just so many talented actors out there
Yeah.
who haven't yet got the chance to explore it. So there's not a moment that goes by on set when I don't, I'm not deeply appreciative of how lucky and fortunate I am. And I guess that's also what is so special about this show is the family feel that we have. Everyone on the show is I'm not just selling the show, but this cast is really special in terms of the people involved. They're all just really amazing
Mhm.
people with huge hearts, and certainly the cast, the kind of work they did in the townships here, the way that people wanted to get involved with the communities here when they're on their days off, was really inspiring, and that was so it was really, we had a really good kind of family feel. So that was.
Everybody, and again, you're the sixth person that I feel privileged to talk to from the show, but everybody has been incredible. I am not blowing smoke up anybody's, you know what? Everybody really is awesome.
Yeah.
Um, it's just such a great. You guys are close knit family still. It's been a year and a half since you shot it, and
Yeah.
everybody is still talking. Everybody is still in contact.
Yeah.
I've been really impressed with everybody. And in terms of the pure acting ability, I mentioned to Joanna that I'm blown away by her acting and all the emotion, everything that's happening in the eyes, take after take that I know it she has to go through and still show that surprise and everything that changes into her body when Assam gets close, like just next level stuff. Who, in your opinion, without without upsetting anybody, but who do you think was the best actor from a pure acting ability on the show? I know it's a ridiculously tough question, but
Yeah. I can't answer that.
yeah,
There are too many amazingly, wonderfully talented people on the show.
yeah,
Um, I can certainly tell you in terms of who's had to work the hardest.
yeah,
Uh, I mean, we are fortunate in having an incredibly talented leading man uh, who has also done the work, and he shows up. You know, with the fight work, just the kind of physical toll that his fight work has. That isn't. It's just so demanding. I can't say who's the best actor. I yeah, I don't think I'm a very critical person, so I'm just in awe.
yeah,
Uh, I'm in awe of my fellow workers. I really am. And there's no one amongst them who has a huge ego and is kind of
mhm,
unpleasant to be around in any way. They're all just amazing,
yeah,
fucking awesome.
yeah. I agree with you. Again, it's like I couldn't
But
pick.
they're all best actors, all of them.
Yeah, it's true. As an actor, I would pause as I'm watching. I would pause and then rewind because there are certain moments that I just had to watch from a pure acting perspective. I did that with
Yeah.
Koji. I did that with Kieran. I did that with
Yes.
Joanna many times. Like it's just
Yes.
they're really special. Um, yeah, and I agree with you on it. How is it, again, talking just from the acting side, you had a chance to work in the US. You've been working obviously in South Africa. How is the acting, industry in South Africa? I know that you've been in some big movies that came to South Africa to shoot, Invictus being one of them. But what is the industry like? Are there a lot of actors that are able to make enough money to have that as a profession? Because I know what it's like on the US side. What is it like in South Africa?
Yeah. Um, I would say it is big enough to make a living as an actor. Um, yeah, I guess like actors everywhere, you've got to have a side gig.
Right.
You've
Yeah.
got to have something else. You've got to have a side hustle. Um, you know, for me, it's always been voice work. So it would be the vocal performance stuff would be. I mean, there've been years when the voice work has been my bread and butter and has paid the bills.
Hmm.
I've been, when the screen stuff has been quiet, and also often, the voice work has enabled me to be able to do theatre because, like theatre everywhere, unless you're a big name,
Yeah. It
the,
doesn't
the
pay.
money's laughable.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, we certainly facilitate a lot of big commercials and feature films, and we can, I guess, as Cape Town, facilitate 3 or 4 really big series every year.
Okay.
So there's certainly a lot of work available as a local hire, but certainly nowhere near the scale of say Canada or
Right.
places like that. I mean, I know that. I mean, Canada right now is one of the few places in the world where they're really busy.
Yeah.
There are a lot of productions underway in Canada right now. There's very little happening here because obviously because of COVID. And there are certainly some big productions that are slated for early next year, but
Okay.
it remains to be seen whether we'll actually get them underway when they want to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep those fingers crossed, man. Knock on wood. Do all the right things, all the things we need to do. Pray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, Warrior, I think all of you guys, were slated that this was going to be a 6-year kind of a swing. I know because of the restructuring
Yeah.
that's happening with Cinemax and HBO,
Yeah.
that's up in the air. Now with HBO Max and the series going on there in January, hopefully you're going to get a wider audience, even though HBO Max and with what happened with Warner Brothers, there's so much heat that they're taking right now. So I'm hoping that eventually you'll start kind of picking things up. Where would you? I don't know if you and JT had these discussions, but where would you personally like to see Buckley go in season 3?
Yeah. He certainly has ambitions of going further than just the city.
Yep.
So, what I would like to see is perhaps something surprising that would perhaps entail some kind of come down.
Yeah.
For him, where he would have to take a long, hard look at himself, and actually there'd be room for personal growth.
Yeah.
But I understand this is television.
Yeah.
But you never know. I mean, stranger things have happened. The funny thing is that there was actually a guy by the name of Buckley in the political world of San Francisco at the time of the show, in the late 1870s. And he was, although not the mayor, he was very close to. He was, he had serious political influence and certainly influenced the mayor, and was a political figure in the city council. And he also got involved with one of the tongs.
What?
And went into business with one of the tongs. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
They might draw inspiration from the real life Buckley, and we might. I mean, we're already seeing him in at least not in bed with Meiling in that way, but in from a business point of view, for sure. So maybe that'll be explored a little more. Who knows?
We'll find
Your
out.
guess is as good as mine, man.
Huh?
I said your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah. My goodness, everybody, and Diane does such a great job as Mylan. But she is not a character that people love very much. You and her are the two most disliked characters on the show, based on the Facebook group. There are two Warrior Facebook groups, and yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Huh?
That's funny. I'm not on Facebook, so I don't know these things. So please tell me more.
Yeah, well, the words.
Is the hate group for Buckley on Facebook?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
One, it's for the whole show. But yes, basically, I think Meiling is the evil incarnate, and you're the second on that list. So
good.
Even though, again, they're showing, and they did a really nice job to show that the humanity of Meiling as well. So they keep kind of dropping things in of they're real people, that they are not horrible people. It's just they do bad things for many different reasons. But I'm just wondering if you've gotten, hate mail or anything else of saying, "How dare you," as Buckley?
No, no, no. I mean, fortunately, there don't seem to be any people crazy enough out there to blur the lines of reality that much. And everyone realizes I'm just an actor. So even the people who are hateful of Buckley and love to hate him have been very kind and complimentary.
Good. I'm glad to hear that,
No
because
one's been abusive in any way.
listen,
Knock
because
on wood.
acting is acting. You should be commended for playing such a character and
Yeah.
not being like that character. So I'm hoping that this interview gives a chance, for people to see who you are, so they feel better about Buckley. Perfect. Well,
Thanks,
Langley,
Alan.
thank you so much for jumping on. I really appreciate it. I know you've mentioned that you were late. I didn't get a chance to put my response in there at that time, so I'm going to do it now. Better late than never. Off. Paraphrasing Mel Brooks, it's good to be the mayor. So yeah.
Yes, it is, and good things come to those who wait. So thanks for waiting, man. It was really a lot of fun, and I hope you're feeling better soon, and that you're that COVID is a thing of the past really soon, and I'm glad you've been on the treadmill.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do some yoga now. I'm gonna go do some stretching and take some more cough medicine, so I can
Yeah, man.
I can
And
stop.
enjoy the chiropractor when you finally get out.
God,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay,
Perfect.
man.
Thank you, Langley. Really appreciate it. And thanks to everybody for tuning in and to another episode of The Love of Acting. I know you love acting. I know you love Warrior as much as I do. So please, find Langley's girlfriend. Continue watching Warrior. Continue signing the petition. We need season 3, 4, 5, and 6, and to continue these conversations. Take care, everybody.